2016 was a strong year for games, assuming you weren't exclusively a Nintendo fan like I was up until last year. What with the Switch just on the horizon and the drip feed of terrible spin-offs, Nintendo better come packing heat in 2017, but that's beside the point. This year brought explosive new action games, long-awaited role-playing epics, and a bunch of gorgeous, solemn exploration games, a lot of them. And while tight controls and stunning graphics can grab my attention, it's really the characters that draw me in and keep me coming back until the credits roll. Just because a game looks good or has really engrossing gameplay doesn't mean it's got particularly good characters. So, if I wanted to make the same old list you've no doubt heard half a dozen times, then Dark Souls 3 was the clear runaway best game. So instead, here are the top 5 video game characters of 2016, according to me, JanitorJoey. But first, let me break this down real quick. Obviously, these are just my opinions, and the very nature of ranking the qualities of different characters is super subjective. What I find endearing might be totally obnoxious to someone else. Secondly, this list is only based on the 20 or so games I completed this year, so there's clearly a lot of great candidates that I missed, and I encourage you all to share your own lists in the comments. And finally, I made the call to only include characters whose games debuted in 2016. This helped me justify excluding well-established characters from long-running franchises like Nathan Drake or Junpei Tenmyoji, since I wanted to avoid spoilers and easily recommend games that can be enjoyed on their own. Oh, and since this list is basically just talking about game narratives, be warned that there may be mild spoilers. Let's kick it off with number 5. The one game that really snuck up on me last year that I loved was Let It Die. I probably saw trailers for this and heard Grasshopper Manufacturer was working on it, the twisted minds behind Killer 7 and the No More Heroes games, but it just kinda shadow dropped and I downloaded it, and boy am I glad I did. Not only is this game a brutal, free-to-play Souls-like, which is awesome, but it's also filled with an irreverent cast of colorful characters. Although this game wasn't personally overseen by Suda51, Let It Die oozes the same charisma and dark humor that made Travis Touchdown and his crew so fresh and likable.
Downward fucking dog!
And none shine brighter here than the poster boy Reaper.
I forgot to mention, my name is Uncle Death.
At the foot of the oppressively grim Tower of Barbs, Uncle Death ushers the player in with giddy excitement. Much of his character is a mystery, but deep down, he's just a geeky fanboy who's got rad skateboard moves and wields a retractable golf club scythe. What's not to love? Not to mention, he can call you through your DualShock controller and offers advice with lovably quirky dialogue. Even though the unforgiving opening hours left me furious, that Boni Kohai left such a favorable impression that I've been logging back in every day since.
I just got back from a yearly medical checkup. Turns out, I don't have any internal organs. Just nasty gunky shit. Anyway, ready to play?
The Pokemon games are not often praised for their stories or characters. Sure, the anime fleshes out the world, and gym leaders like Misty, Brock, and Giovanni are a lot more significant, but in the games?
I like Rock-type Pokemon.
I like Water-type Pokemon.
I like the tin.
Even in the later games, like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire's epic high-stakes finale, or how Black and White raised interesting concepts about the ethics of Pokemon capture, none of them had any standout relatable characters, at least none as endearing as Lillie from Pokemon Sun and Moon. When Lillie was first revealed in teasers last year, I was skeptical. Okay, cool, the professor's gonna have a standoffish, reclusive assistant. She's pretty cute, I guess. She looks about as important as any of these trial captains. And later, it seemed more obvious that she was going to have some ties to the supporting cast and possibly the Ultra Beasts as well. Okay, I thought, but surely you're spoiling your own game's biggest reveals. Which, in all honesty, they kinda did, but they did not, thankfully, spoil how charming and adorable Lillie grows to become over the course of the game. She's one of the first supporting characters in the series to undergo an actually interesting character arc and become more likable because of it. You really get the sense that Lillie changes over time, and your actions are responsible for helping her break out of her shell and develop her own identity. It's freaking adorable, and I love her, and I love her story. And later on, she buys a new outfit for herself and is like super gung-ho about your adventure. I still prefer her original hairstyle, but I wouldn't dare say it to her face. She's just too precious. Next up, we have a quirky little visual novel, Va 11 Hall A Cyberpunk Bartender Action. But first I'm going to take this opportunity to plug a similar game that was a top favorite of mine from 2015 that I played last year, Read Only Memories, which literally just got a big update. Now, ROM is more of a point-and-click adventure game, but the writing is phenomenal, and these two games exist in the same universe. Read Only Memories got a lot of flack for being too bright and cheery for a Cyberpunk story, or that the characters were all one-note hipsters, but I truly believe it has an amazing cast, and I was honestly blown away by how my actions impacted the story and the way other characters treated me. Valhalla has a very similar presentation, and honestly has even more childish writing than ROM, but it's been received much more positively. And look, I can buy my own replica Turing to display in my house, and no way. Is that the Tomcat from ROM is here in my bar? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Anywho, personally, the gameplay of Valhalla is pretty terrible. You listen and chat with your patrons each night, and there are 0 dialogue options. You literally just read some text and then make whatever drink the person asks for. Sometimes their order is like a riddle, or they're vague about what they like. But basically, it's just lather, rinse, repeat. But sometimes you zone out, and you accidentally put too much Flanergide when it was supposed to be 3 Bronson extract, because some of these drinks are like 20 ingredients long, and I won't get my flawless service bonus at the end of the night, and I won't get the achievement! And that's about the most game moments you get, but the experience is saved by the incredible character designs, writing, and music.
In a world where all women are perfect 10s, and inexplicably all men are chauvinistic, irritating, and straight up the worst, one little robot stands above the crowd. Rebecca Willow, aka Dorothy Hayes.
Dorothy is a Lillie, basically the sentient robot race that live primarily here in Glitch City, where all matter of human cybernetic enhancements are commonplace. She's got an infectiously bubbly personality, and despite her teenage appearance, she has the mental age and drinking habit of a 20-something. She always comes around to cheer up the protagonist, Jill, and makes no secret of her profession as a sex worker, often in hilariously graphic detail. It's a tough life in Glitch City, and Dorothy is more than happy to provide the much-needed warmth to her customers and Jill alike. Sure, the shock value of a 13-year-old girl discussing in length about body modifications and getting hot and bothered when Alma details how she's hacked a computer is pretty funny. Dorothy comes across as a very selfless, genuine person who's not ashamed of who or what she is. She eventually opens up and reveals a very touching past, but never loses that spunky attitude and appreciation for innuendo. Speaking of divisive releases, next up we have The Last Guardian, the game that almost never was. I won't argue that on a normal PS4 the frame rate can get a little choppy or that the controls aren't very responsive, although I didn't struggle with either and they seemed very in line with past Team Ico releases. But no one is arguing that the game nails Trico's presentation. The experience hinges on the titular beast being lifelike and believable. And ironically, Trico is perhaps the most realistic creature I've ever seen in a game. Despite how fantastical it appears, Trico's body language and movement are unmistakable and perfectly encapsulate just about every animal you've interacted with. From timidly pawing objects to joyously bounding across an open field, Trico is universally praised. That is, if you can get it to go where you want. It, him, I think I refer to Trico as a him in like a stereotypical boy and his dog kind of way. Wouldn't want to misgender this fictional creature, but there's clearly no genitals and it's pretty heavily implied that these creatures can mate. Maybe they do the freaky Avatar hair braid thing with their tails, in which case the lasers are... Not gonna think about it. In response to the criticisms that the game is unresponsive or that Trico is too finicky to guide, you clearly haven't lived with house cats. Getting my little one to do anything is a test of patience exponentially longer than the length of this game. If anything, Trico's fidgety nature adds a lot of believability and character, whether or not intentionally. I'd even go so far as to say I like Trico more than any real-life dog I've ever met or owned. Now, I don't want to incite any cat v dog debate, but I just attribute my love of Trico to the emotional execution and flawless presentation of this game. And my favorite gaming character from 2016 was actually a toss-up, because if I had wanted to, I could have filled the whole list with the phenomenal cast of Oxenfree. So rarely are teenagers ever written as real people, let alone in video games, so I guess all the good ones ended up in this one. It was really hard to pick a favorite, from our new stepbrother Jonas's level-headed awkwardness.
I'm not really one to hate stuff, but I hated all of that.
to Ren's boisterous one-liners.
Did something?
That's about as good as we can describe it, yeah.
Yeesh. If we don't have our skin tomorrow, I'm blaming you.
Even the brief flashbacks of our older brother Michael paint him as a deeply caring and charismatic person.
No way, Bucko.
Bucko? You haven't called me that in years.
But I chose to pick the protagonist, Alex, since she obviously gets the most opportunities to shine, as well as the multifaceted personalities you as the player can choose to embrace.
Humming like a barracuda.
Barracudas don't hum.
Well, this one is.
Much like my favorite aspect of read-only memories, Oxenfree's story is dependent on what you do, but more importantly on what you say and how you say it. You can choose to be an angsty biatch to everyone, or the cheerful optimist, or not say anything at all the entire game. It's up to you, and conversations continue to flow naturally. You never get a ton of time, so conversations depend a lot on your own personal reactions as you begin to shape your own Alex. But enough about the mechanics, because every dialogue branch comes across believably no matter what you choose, and sometimes saying nothing at all reveals the most interesting responses from your friends. It's the layers of choice and the versatility of her character that really makes Alex so interesting. She can be a courageous leader or a meek defeatist, and her range emphasizes her age and maturity. These characters are all around college age, and a major theme of the game is the passage of time and moving on. Alex's personality isn't set in stone, and neither are her decisions. She's influenced not only by the player themselves, but through experience and the advice of others. But through it all, she retains a snarky, humorous tone and a strong will, and it's up to the player to decide whether Alex uses her strengths to help or harm others, and that left a truly memorable impression. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I encourage you to leave a like, and consider subscribing to the channel, following me at JanitorJoey on Twitter, or visit my Patreon. I've got big plans for 2017, and I hope you'll be a part of it. In the meantime, you can check out my Let's Play videos over at Janitor Plays. A new series is already underway and will be debuting there soon. Until next time, bye guys.